Today's Manna. 가스펠라이프 철치 데니얼 김 목사가 보내드리는 시간입니다.
Hello to the friends and family of KCBS. My name is Daniel, and welcome to today's Manna. In Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says this, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind." There's a difference between knowing Jesus and becoming like Jesus. Many people admire Jesus. Some study his teachings, and others even build their lives around religious routines connected to him. But the invitation that Jesus actually gives is far deeper than admiration, knowledge, or even an activity. Jesus actually calls us into a transformation, not a behavior modification, not image management, not spiritual performance, but it's actually a transformation. The goal of following Jesus Christ is not simply to become a better version of ourselves, but it is to allow the Spirit of God to shape us into the likeness of Jesus himself. Paul writes in Romans that transformation begins with the renewal of our minds. This means that spiritual maturity is not primarily about trying harder, but it's actually about thinking differently. The world's going to train us to think, protect ourselves first, to seek recognition, to win arguments, to avoid weakness. But Jesus teaches us to say, serve first, honor others, seek truth in love, and embrace dependence on the Father. The longer we walk with Jesus Christ, the more our internal dialogue begins to sound like him. We start asking three different questions. What honors God here? What would love require of me? How can I serve instead of to be served? Spiritual growth is not measured only by what we do, but by what we desire and how we interpret the world. And when the mind is renewed, behavior naturally follows. Jesus did not just teach humility, he actually was washing feet. He actually did not just preach forgiveness, he forgave while being crucified. He did not just talk about obedience, but he submitted fully to the Father. The Christian life is meant to be visibly different, not because we're trying to stand out, but because Jesus is alive within us. This means that we take responsibility instead of blaming, we speak truth instead of gossip, we pursue reconciliation instead of division, we choose faithfulness over convenience. A life shaped by Jesus is not always loud, but it actually is always noticeable. One of the greatest discouragement believers face is realization that change often happens slower than we want. Because we still struggle, we still react poorly, we still carry old habits, but Scripture consistently reminds us that transformation is a process, not an instant event. And God is so patient with us. He's not shocked by our weakness. He's committed to finishing what he started. And the question is not, am I perfect yet? The question is, am I more like Jesus than I was last year? And even the small steps of obedience matter deeply to God. We cannot think like Christ if we are rarely with Christ. And time in Scripture reshapes our instincts. Prayer aligns our hearts, and worship softens our pride. Community exposes the blind spots, and we become what we consistently behold. If we constantly consume comparison and outrage and distraction, our thinking is going to mirror that. And if we consistently sit with Jesus, our thinking will begin to reflect him, because transformation always follows proximity. You know, the ultimate vision of the Christian life is not just a salvation of sin, but it's actually a formation into Christ. Galatians chapter 4 verse 19 talks this, where he says, until Christ is formed in you. I want you to imagine here, to respond to pressure with peace. I want you to imagine to respond to criticism with humility. I want you to respond to conflict with grace and respond to need with generosity. And this is not unrealistic. It's the Spirit's long-term work in every surrendered believer. Because God is not just changing your habits. He is shaping your character. Not just your behavior, but also your identity. I want to encourage you here today for you to ask a question. In what areas is my thinking still shaped more by culture than by Christ? And where have you seen an evidence of transformation in your life recently? And take some moments to pray to God saying, hey God, would you renew my mind so that I can begin to think like you? Would you form my heart so that I desire what you desire? God, would you shape my actions so that my life reflects your character? And would you pray that He would give you the patience with the process and the faith that He is still working inside you? Because the ultimate goal of Christianity is for you to let Christ be formed in your life more and more on a daily basis.
지금까지 가스펠라이프 처치의 데니얼 킴 목사였습니다. 성경이나 예수 그리스도에 관해서 더 알기를 원하시는 분은 시카고 기독교 방송 전화 847-583 영원 구원으로 연락 바랍니다.